have in my description, I wrote I'm a creature, and probably a lot of people will be like, well, I get exactly what you're saying, but I think most people will not. Hopefully, this channel will attract more creatures because it's not about being famous. I don't want to walk around the street and be known. No, 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 no. I like my privacy and I like being quiet and I like going to the supermarket like a normal person. It's not my projection. I just want to help people, especially creatures like me. And I kind of want to have people who feel like creatures, especially those who know exactly what it is. And they're like, I know exactly. You don't need to tell me. I know since I'm a baby before I even spoke, because a lot of them could and had very high intelligence as they remember stuff as babies. Um, and for those who were always creatures but didn't know and couldn't say it or hid it or got shunned for it or didn't have the emotional strength or capacity to live freely as a creature. Maybe now when everything's going, burning or whatever you want to call it, it's discombobulated. It's their time to say, you know what? Fuck it. I can do whatever I want. I'm gonna be who I am. I want to be the creature that I am. I want to live the creatury. I want to delve into it. I want to explore it. I want to meet people like me, or I met people like me and they really inspired me, and I want to do more of that. So, what is a creature? It's funny because I recorded this video so many times with the camera and the lights, and I even edited it, but it's such a nightmare. All these things. It's so much easier to do with the phone, but maybe that's creatury too. But creature is that when you're born into this world, and ever since you're little, you're like, people tell you stuff, people teach you about the world, and you doubt it. You just ask questions, and once you realize that the grown-ups don't like you asking questions, they just want you to say yes and smile and be like, okay, I'll do that. And you do that, especially when they're around. Then when they're not around, it's a whole different story. But that's being a creature. It's when you look around and you're like, oh, why is the world the way it is? Why are people doing what they do? Why does my mom have to go to work? Why does food has to come through supermarkets? Why do we have money? Why cars? Why about a lot of things? Why things are the way they are when they can be in a different way? It's very obvious to you, even as a very young child, that things can be done different. And it's kind of shocking you that everybody knows. You know that everybody knows. It's just like everybody kind of passed that stage and move on to complacency. Like, okay, everybody agrees with it, so I'm just going to agree with it because that's what everybody does. It's part of being a creature is that not doing what everybody do. Not wanting to be like everybody. Almost like I had a certain part, I remember in the first grade when I saw how kids react to hate and violence and they congregated around it. And I was having it at home from my siblings and from my mom, and I was so bullied, and I realized how much it's not the solution. I couldn't join them, and so I looked at people, and I remember I had a fear. I went home and I was like, I wish I'll never be like everybody. I wish I'll always gonna be myself and unique. And I even called it unique back then, just like I didn't want to be like everybody. It was very important for me, and I think that's the ABC of creatury, is understanding that you are unique, even if you don't understand it like consciously, but wanting to be unique, wanting to be your own, wanting to find out what you are, what you like. You kind of already know because you already look around and say, I don't like that. But it's not like you don't like. I feel like a lot of times, depends on the type of creature you are, but the type of creature I am is that I kind of want to love everything, and I want to love everybody, and I want to love the world, and I see all the potential it has for love, and I see the love that there is within the oppression and the darkness and all that. There's still love. We can't, don't erase it just because it's convenient, because you want change. And also, you're taking away from people their own experience, and I think that's not fair, and nobody has the right to do that. Um, so, it's about seeing things and understanding that you don't believe what people believe, and even though they tell you this is how things are, you're gonna go out and find out your way and for yourself. And if you think something else, you're not gonna go. Well, maybe for when you're young, you want to go out and prove it to yourself or for others. I had that, especially with believing that people are initially good. Everybody's good. I know. I carried it for so many years. I know. A real Disney squirrel. But who cares? I still believe that people are good initially, the root, what happens later, or how life or where life can take them is a whole different story. Or where they take themselves, or where they choose to become, or what they choose to become. Because at the end of the day, we choose to be a part of everything. We choose to be like everybody. It's a choice. We choose what we want to be. Most people, they're just too scared. That's where the creatury enters, and that's where you kind of gain your own title. You initiate yourself into creatury by not accepting things the way they are, always questioning, not even in a disturbing way, even with yourself, because you realize very quickly that people don't like to hear it. But um, standing there, and even though people are like, in the opportunities you can say to people, no, this doesn't have to be like that. Oh no, you can do that like that. Or when people expect you to behave in a certain way and then you choose something else. When people want you to be a part of the mob and you choose to protect someone, there's a lot of ways that you can show your creatury. And when you don't take part in a mob or in a group, I can't see all groups as mobs, but there's a whole, it's part of the creatury journey too, to find your own group and kind of to make your own group, unless somebody already started one. But creature is a lot about being with yourself, because you realize everybody around want to be complacent, or it's very hard to find people who are not totally complacent, or like even just have a little bit of room for people like you. And you feel very honored and you feel very loved when you do find people who kind of make room for you to talk the way you want and be the way you want. And sometimes you even congregate with people who just um, bond over that. But there's a lot of other things, because let me tell you, sometimes to be a creature you get a lot of ricochets and people don't like that, or you get violence either at home, either by other people. And it's very important to when you go out there and you pass that stage of the violence and you want to congregate with others, not to trauma bond, because sometimes we just want to be friends with people because they think the same way, but maybe they're not really healthy. Maybe they're toxic, maybe they're codependent, maybe they're mean, and we don't know it because we're just so happy and excited and puppy-like, and our tail is wagging that, oh my god, I found someone like me, and I found people who believe like me, and I'm not a creature anymore, I'm in a creaturey. And you don't notice that these relationships are not really healthy, especially if you grew up in a household where people are not healthy towards you, and that was a lot of, if not most, households. So, creature is someone who sees things from their own perspective and develop their own perspective and continue to live a life, wanting to see life from a whole different perspective, believing there's something more, believing that there's something else than what is out there, knowing there's something else, and living their life like that, and choosing usually a profession that um, goes along with that, having activities that goes along with that. A lot of the creatures are artists, actors, directors, painters, photographers, you name it, poets, etc., writers. Because it's one of the places where creature is not just accepted, it's actually celebrated, and there's a lot of creatures in these worlds. There's very few creatures in the, like structural worlds, but there are, because if you see different thinkers or different inventors or different even like computer geeks, etc. They are the most. I love geeks. I love geeks. I'm very grateful for them. If it wasn't for geeks, we didn't have all the information we have on the internet. So you be grateful to them. I am every day. If you're a geek and you're watching it, I love you. Gamers, you name it. Um, we're different. We're people who believe in magic, we believe in imagination, we're people who use our imagination, we're people who project a new future, we're people who believe in just everything that's not the common ground. And it doesn't have to be conspiracy theory, even though nowadays conspiracy theory looks more real than the news, 'cause that's a conspiracy in its own, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's what creature is, and that's what being a creature. And yes, there's a lot of solitary walk around it, because especially if you got injured, sometimes at some point you need to heal, and you need to start rebuilding, and you need to, because when you get hurt a lot as a creature and you get shunned, or you get um, ambushed by society, or aggressed or bullied, there's a lot of stuff you need to let go, because a lot of times we have those experiences, it creates belief structures, and we operate from these belief structures. So we really need to go in there and release these things and forgive people, because forgiveness is the best feeling ever. You're not doing it for the other person, you're doing it for yourself. Forgiving is not accepting what someone else did, like gracefully, okay, yeah, sure. It's about accepting that it happened, and it's about letting go of the weight, because every person we don't forgive is like a rock we're carrying on our back. So actually, when we forgive, we're not doing it for that person, we're doing it for ourselves, because we want to liberate ourselves. And also, it's a great feeling to be able to transform something that you were angry about for so many years, and you were carrying so much anger and so much frustration, and every time people would mention it, you would like, be triggered, or would sometimes even cry, and God knows what. To be free of it, be free of it, and even at some point, if you really do the work, to be like, I love this person, we didn't get along. They did this thing. We had a disagreement. You don't even go into talking about the thing because you learn how important it is to keep your privacy and not talk about these things, because gossip is one of the biggest problems we have in this world, and it's not for no reason one of the biggest sins in religion. I know the cat, but he's just like that. It's the time of the night. So be a creature, and don't be afraid to be a creature. And if you have a creature child, then really encourage them and uplift them and support them, because being a creature is not easy. And even if you're not creaturey and you have a creature child, then be like, you know what, whatever people say, just mind your own thing, stay away from them, don't worry, you keep on expanding yourself. If you like these things, let's go watch a movie about it, or let's bond over it, or tell me why you're interested in that, and slowly open your world to it, because creatures are the most magnificent people and the most magical and the most creative. You can learn so much from them, especially when they're young. The more you encourage the magic, the more you open their heart, the more you show them support, the more they will grow to be beautiful, magnificent, influential people. And when I say influential, it's not about the Western world, about being rich and being the biggest CEO or Bill Gates or whatever. It's not, for me, not influential. Influential technically, but not influential emotionally, heart-wise. They can change the world by being. They can radiate such love and such intelligence and such beauty and such talent that literally by walking down the street they change the world. You don't even understand the capacity of creatury and how it can really help the world, and how it's beautiful and magnificent to encourage a child to be creatury. And if you're not creatury, find anyone in the family or anyone you know, anyone at work that looks legit and healthy, start having a relationship with them and see if they're legit enough to meet your kid. Or if for now, find content that is for kids that encourages being a creature. Encourage them to do art, encourage them to dance, encourage them to liberate themselves. Creatures often have a lot of energies. They sometimes even fail at school even though they're geniuses, because school is too basic, and also the environment is not, it's toxic for them, so they can't learn because they're in survival mode. So a lot of times you'll hear parents saying like, oh, my kids have this problem, ADHD, autistic, etc., and all these kind of social emotional problems because they don't fit in. And let me tell you something, the system is not meant to fit in, and it was not meant for kids like them. Nobody created, and we need a Hogwarts for kids who are special. Instead of calling them the special needs kids, just drop the needs. Special kids. They are special kids. They need different methods. They need different environments. They need color. They need love. They need nature. They need to touch things. They need to build things. They need to create things. They need to be loved. They need to be appreciated. They need to be comforted. They need to feel safe. I believe all kids need that. But I ain't gonna redesign the educational system. I leave that to the teachers out there, because I know a lot of them quit. So start thinking about these things. But in general, if you're a creature and if you're a teacher, then start thinking, what would you like? What kind of a school you would like to be in? There's all these brilliant creatures out there who do brilliant jobs. I love teachers. I admire them. I don't have a hat, but I'll take it off. Teachers and nurses and social workers, all these people who are underpaid but actually are holding our society together, who are angels, who really care. That's, most of them are creatures, because who would choose care for the broken over money in this world? Someone who's a creature. I love them. They are the most powerful creatures, and when you meet one, bow or honor them and tell them, you know what, one day you'll be paid what you're worth, because you're worth everything. You design our future society. Remember that. It's not the doctors, it's the nurses, and it's not the mayor, it's the social workers, and it's not the principal or the minister of education. It's the teachers who do the dirty work, the hard work. So if you're a creature and you feel like, or you just found out you're a creature, invest in it, love it, enjoy it, develop it, show yourself. The creature is great. The creature is good. The creature is love. The creature deserves the best, and creatures deserve the best. Very soon enough, you'll see a world where creatures are loved and where creatures are appreciated, especially now because a lot of people are lost. And one thing I can tell you for sure about creatures, they're excellent guides, because if you need to go through this world, surviving it, living through it, even though it's not welcoming you, or it's being aggressive to you, or it's bullying you, and you go out there and you do something, make something out of yourself, you can have a family and have kids, and you try to make good out of yourself and be healthy, let me tell you, you already won the prize and you've done amazing work. And it's as much as the challenge is big, you still take it and you make it. So don't give up if you're a creature, and don't give up if you're alone, because there's a reason why we are alone. We need the time to heal, we need the time to understand, we need the time to forgive, and we need the time to communicate and get messages and see how we can guide ourselves first. And then if we feel like it, or if we start meeting people, especially if we open our heart, especially if we got hurt and we healed, then we start meeting other healing or healthy people. We need to celebrate. So we need time to think about that. We need time to imagine. We need time to project. We need time to create. We need time to indulge in our knowledge and indulge in developing it and growing this new world. And we need time to be with ourselves, because ourselves is the most magnificent thing. I love being a creature, and I love my creaturehood, and I love being a creature self, because there's nothing like that. I love that I see people looking at me and they're like, how are they doing that? And they've been looking at me like that since forever, ever since I started going out into the open world, which was kind of like 16, 15 and a half. I'm 42. It's quite a while. And I've been around the world too, because I'm curious and I love traveling and I love seeing people and I love cultures and I love food and I love people and I love earth. And so don't let anyone damp that, because let me tell you, a lot of people tried with me. It didn't work. And maybe it worked for a little bit because I had my own problems I didn't want to heal. But the more I started healing, the more nobody can touch that. Nobody can touch my creatury. Nobody can touch who I am. Nobody can touch what I do. Nobody can disturb me from being who I am and from developing my creatury and from loving my creatury and from embracing my uniqueness and from shining it and from really hearing the cat being totally annoying and trying to be getting attention, even though he got so much attention today, and still be like, I love you, baby. I know that's how you are. You know, you're not even annoying because you're a baby. That's part of being a creature. Finding forgiveness and not getting upset. Let me tell you, I used to lose my head on everything, because when you're abused and when you live in a country, there's always hate and war and people fighting and a fight every 5 seconds and people stabbing each other because they cross each other on the red light, like really nasty things. A lot of masculine toxicity. It's very hard not to get that touching you, and it's very hard when you receive that to not protect yourself by aggressing back to people and kind of losing your creaturehood, becoming like others, especially if that's what I just described as the atmosphere. And it's terrible feeling after, because violence is never the answer, and it's a horrible feeling after, and you feel emptied and dark and nasty, and then you need to do forgiveness for this person and forgiveness for yourself for being like that. It's so complicated, it's not worth it. And you need to learn how to not react, and you need to learn, you need help, especially if you're in PTSD and somebody attacked you and you need to recover from that, like I had to. It takes time, and you need to understand that it takes time to heal, and you need to be compassionate with yourself, because if you grew up in a house where people belittled you and put you down, then you start talking to yourself like that. That's why if you look at my building clocks, and I highly encourage that, you'll see that I say, listen to how you talk to yourself. It's the most important, because how you talk to yourself is how you talk to the world and how you talk to others, and it's how you act in the world. And therefore, if you have reality you are discontent of, it usually has to do with how you talk to yourself, because that is the core belief you have. This is how you start your day. This is where you launch yourself. This is where you imagine from. This is where you do everything. That's why I say start listening to yourself. This is how you learn who you are. And even if you see a picture that you don't like, be kind and compassionate and be like, you know what, I'm a creature. It's alright. I've changed so much. I've learned so much. I said, there's more unlearning to do. No problem. I'm committed. If you have commitment problems, say, I want to have easier way to commit. Ask, communicate, delegate, work with angels, work with fairies, work with the earth, work with the trees, work. So when the earth is just in the universe, they just want to help you. There's a reason we come into this journey and we do all these things and we have help. We feel like, oh, we're all alone, especially if your creature and your family, dumped you or abandoned you. You're never alone. And even if you don't see a creature inside, there's always a spirit, and there's always the angels, and there's always trees and birds and animals. The Mother Earth is your mother. Especially if you don't have a mother, remember, she's your mother, and she's ever abundant. She wants to take care of you and makes it the best experience for you on her. She wants to host you in the most beautiful creature way. So allow her. Love yourself. Love your creaturehood. Develop it. Embrace it. Be the most magnificent, loving creature that you are. I love you.